My name's Daniel, and until last year, I never believed in aliens. I wasn't the type to spend nights staring at the sky or to scroll through conspiracy forums about UFOs. I worked as an auto mechanic in a small town outside Denver. Steady hands, long hours, grease under my nails, and a life so ordinary it could have been written in grey. Everything changed on October 9th. It was a Thursday night. I remember because I was exhausted, and the kind of exhaustion that clings to your bones. I'd stayed late fixing a customer's transmission, grabbed a quick dinner at a gas station, and drove home through empty county roads. The sky was unusually clear. No clouds, no haze, just a sea of stars. Out there, away from city lights, the universe felt huge. Too huge, that's when I noticed it. At first, it looked like a single bright light hovering low on the horizon. But it wasn't moving, not blinking either, just floating. I slowed the truck, squinting through the windshield. The light pulsed once, bright white, then shifted colors, blue, green, red, back to white. It darted sideways in an instant like it broke physics. Drone, I told myself. But deep down I knew no drone could move like that. When I got home, my dog Baxter wouldn't stop barking. He stared out the window, whining like something outside terrified him. I tried to calm him down, but the hair on his neck and mine stood on end. At 2:43 a.m., I woke up to silence. The kind that hums in your ears because there's nothing else. No crickets, no wind, no sound. Then a low vibration filled the room. The glass of water on my nightstand trembled. My phone slid an inch across the table. I sat up, disoriented, and the light came, white, pure, searing through the blinds like 1,000 suns condensed into one. Before I could move, before I could even breathe, the room stretched, literally stretched, and as if space itself warped around me. My stomach dropped, my skin prickled, and I felt myself lifted, and then nothing. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in what looked like a hospital room, but everything was wrong. The light was bluish and soft, coming from nowhere and everywhere. The walls were smooth, curved, metallic. No seams, no screws, no shadows. I wasn't restrained, but I couldn't move. My body felt weightless yet heavy, like gravity didn't know what to do with me. In front of me stood 3 figures. They weren't the little green men from old sci-fi shows. They were tall, maybe 7 feet, with elongated heads, slender limbs, and black almond-shaped eyes that didn't blink. Their skin shimmered faintly, almost like it was semi-transparent. They didn't speak, not with mouths anyway. But their voices filled my mind, calm, curious, too calm. You are safe. The words weren't in English, not really. They bypassed language completely, sliding straight into my thoughts. Do not resist. And I didn't. I couldn't. My body obeyed, even though my brain screamed. One of them approached, extending a hand, long fingers glowing slightly at the tips. When it touched my forehead, memories exploded. My whole life flashed. My mother's laugh, my first kiss, my high school graduation, the accident that killed my brother, all in an instant. I gasped, or tried to. Then everything went black again. When I woke, I was in a different place, a massive chamber. The ceiling looked like a night sky full of stars, but I realized those weren't lights. They were stars, real ones. I was looking through transparent walls at space itself. I wasn't on Earth anymore. A voice spoke again, softly. You are in transit. Transit. My mind couldn't grasp it. 3 days later, I'd understand what that word really meant. But in that moment, all I could do was stare out into the infinite black, wondering why me. I don't know how long I stood there, staring through that glass at the stars. There's no sense of time in a place like that. No sunrise, no ticking clock. Only the soft hum of something alive and mechanical, like the ship itself was breathing. The room was enormous, circular, and almost too clean. No panels, no buttons, No signs of life except for me and the three beings who moved with silent precision. At first, I thought I'd lost my mind. Maybe I'd crashed the truck, and this was some elaborate hallucination in a coma. But the cold floor beneath my bare feet, the way my breath fogged slightly in the air, it all felt too real. Then, one of them approached again. Its movements were smooth, deliberate, almost graceful. I found myself whispering, "Why me?" My voice shaking, the words falling flat into the vastness. Observation. The voice replied inside my head. Comparison, calibration, calibration. The word echoed like a riddle I couldn't solve. Another creature entered the chamber, holding a small, floating device that pulsed with pale blue light. It hovered between us, scanning me up and down. I could feel the vibration inside my bones, like every atom of me was being counted. "Your species adapts unpredictably," the voice continued. "We measure response." Before I could ask what that meant, my vision blurred. The floor dissolved into mist, and suddenly I was elsewhere. I found myself lying on a smooth table, not metal, not stone, something that felt like liquid glass, solid yet flowing. My body was stiff, but not restrained. Around me were more of them, 6, maybe 7, moving in synchronized rhythm, their long fingers manipulating the air like conductors of an invisible orchestra. Lines of glowing symbols floated above me, shifting and rearranging, too complex for any human eye to process. I could see them, and somehow understand fragments. Images flashed in my head, DNA strands, neural pathways, planetary systems. Then came the sound, a low, resonant tone that vibrated through my skull. I screamed, or thought I did. The tone changed pitch, and suddenly my fear melted away like ice under heat. My heartbeat slowed, my breathing steadied. "We adjust emotional resonance," one of them said. "Your fear distorts the data." They were studying me, not torturing me, not in the human sense, but observing how my body, mind, and emotions reacted to their environment. I remember looking at one of them, those endless black eyes reflecting my face like twin mirrors. For the briefest moment, I felt something impossible. Empathy. A flash of emotion that wasn't mine. Loneliness. Whatever they weren't gods, they were travelers, scientists, wanderers who'd been searching far longer than we could imagine. Then, everything changed. The chamber darkened, and I felt movement. Not like flying, but like being folded through space. My stomach twisted, gravity flipped, and suddenly the room burst into light again. Only this time, there were others, people. 6 humans stood around me, dazed, terrified, wearing the same faint grey fabric I now wore. A man in his 40s clutched his chest like he was about to faint. A teenage girl sobbed quietly. A woman near the far wall whispered prayers in Spanish. When I tried to step forward, my legs trembled. "Hey!" I called out. "Where are we? What's happening?" The man looked at me, eyes wide. "They took us," he said. His voice cracked. "They said it's been days." "Days? How long have you been here?" I asked. He looked down, trembling. "I don't know. I stopped counting after the second sunrise. Sunrise? On a ship floating in the void. That's when I noticed it. A faint glow rising and falling across the walls, simulating the rhythm of daylight and night. They had created a cycle, like some kind of artificial day to keep us sane, or maybe to see how we'd react. Time became meaningless. We slept when the walls dimmed, ate strange, translucent cubes that melted on our tongues and filled us with warmth. None of us felt hunger or thirst, only confusion and fear. Sometimes the beings would appear silently and observe us from a distance. No words, no movement, just watching. And then the dreams began. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes of places I'd never been. Alien landscapes under twin suns, oceans that glowed green under swirling skies. And always, in the distance, a tall silver spire reaching into eternity. One night I woke to find one of them standing beside me. Its hand hovered over my forehead again. This time, I didn't flinch. "You perceive shared memory," it said. "Your neural field aligns." "Shared memory?" I asked, my voice shaking. "You see what we see, what we remember. It is necessary for return." Return. The word burned in my mind. "Return me to Earth," I begged. "Please, I don't belong here." The creature tilted its head, almost curiously. "You will return, but you will not remain the same." I lost track of how many cycles passed. 3, 10, time bled together. We talked among ourselves, tried to find logic in the impossible. The teenage girl, Mia, said she remembered being pulled from her car outside Phoenix. The older man, Luis, said he'd been fishing near the Gulf when the light came. Different places, different times. Yet we'd all ended up here. Sometimes we felt the ship move. The stars outside shifted too quickly, like whole constellations replaced in seconds. One day, the walls dissolved again, and we found ourselves in another chamber. This one filled with strange symbols and hovering platforms. One of the beings motioned for me to step forward. Against every instinct I obeyed. "You will witness transit," it said. The floor beneath us rippled like water, and suddenly we weren't in space anymore. We were standing above Earth, but not as it was. The planet below glowed in ways I'd never seen. Patterns of light stretched across continents, forming geometric webs of energy. This isn't real," I whispered. "It is your world, again, as we perceive it." I stared in awe. The oceans pulsed like veins. The continents shimmered. Humanity looked like one vast organism breathing beneath the clouds. For the first time, I realized they didn't see us as individuals. They saw Earth itself as one living being. 3 cycles remain, the voice said. Then you return, 3 cycles. 3 days. And I still didn't understand why. On the final day, everything grew still. The others were gone, vanished one by one as the light took them. I was the last. The creature, the one I'd come to recognize as different from the rest, stood beside me. Its eyes glimmered faintly. "You are altered," it said. "Your perception expands." "What did you do to me?" I asked. It paused. "Nothing you did not consent to. I never agreed to this." "You did, before arrival." Those words cut through me. "Before arrival." Images flashed. Memories I didn't recognize. A bright field, the sound of wind, and a feeling of agreement. My heart pounded. "What does that mean?" I demanded. "You asked to understand." And then the light came again. I fell through. It like a raindrop through clouds, faster and faster, until everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in my bed. The same sheets, the same blinking clock. 2:46 a.m. Only 3 minutes had passed, but my beard had grown. My fingernails were longer. The clothes I'd worn were gone. And outside my window, the stars looked different. When I woke in my bed that night, for a few seconds, I actually believed it had all been a nightmare. The clock said 2:46 a.m., 3 minutes after the moment I'd been pulled from my room. My phone still lay on the nightstand, glowing faintly with the same notification I'd seen before everything went white. But something was wrong. The air in my room felt thicker, almost electric. My skin tingled as if the molecules around me had been rearranged. Every sound and the creak of the ceiling, the rustle of the curtains, carried a metallic edge, and the stars outside. They weren't the same. They seemed sharper, brighter. I could see faint colors around them, like halos of blue and red that shouldn't exist to the naked eye. For a long moment I just stood there, staring, realizing I could distinguish constellations I'd never noticed before. And somehow, I knew their names. Names that weren't human. Something had changed inside me. The first day back was chaos. I tried to convince myself I'd dreamt it, but my body told another story. My beard was thicker, fingernails longer. A faint scar pulsed faintly on my wrist, a thin silver line that glowed under the moonlight. I stumbled into the bathroom mirror. My eyes, they were different. Not in color, but depth. It was as if something behind them was awake and watching. I called my friend Jeff the next morning. "I think I lost time," I said. "Like 3 days." He laughed, half asleep on the other end. "You probably blacked out drunk again." But I hadn't been drinking. I hadn't even left my house that night. When I told him the stars looked strange, he said something that made my stomach drop. Dan, it's Saturday morning. Saturday. I'd gone to bed Thursday, I checked the calendar, and sure enough, 3 days had passed. Yet every device in my house showed the same thing. 3 hours. The clocks had kept ticking normally. The world had moved 3 hours. But for me it had been 3 days. That was when the dreams started again. Each night I'd wake drenched in sweat, visions flashing like lightning behind my eyes, enormous cities of glass, beings floating through corridors of light, a world orbiting twin suns, and always the same spire, tall, silver, piercing the clouds. I started drawing it, on paper, on napkins, even on my garage wall. I couldn't help it. Something in me needed to remember. When I closed my eyes, I heard whispers. Not words exactly, tones, harmonic frequencies that resonated deep in my skull. Sometimes, when I focused, I could feel their meaning, observe, adapt, align. It wasn't language anymore. It was communication through vibration. I stopped eating properly. I'd forget meals, lose hours just staring at nothing. My body didn't seem to need as much anymore. No hunger, no thirst. I was changing subtly, like the edges of my humanity were blurring. One afternoon, I decided to go for a drive. Same route as that night, past the fields, under the same empty sky. The autumn air bit at my skin. At the place where I'd seen the light before, I pulled over and got out. Everything looked normal, but I could feel it. A faint vibration in the ground. The same hum I'd heard before the abduction. When I closed my eyes, I saw the ship again, not visually, but in my mind's eye, as if it existed in another layer of reality. "Right above this one," I whispered. "Are you still here?" The air around me shimmered. For an instant, I saw a distortion, like heat haze, forming the outline of something enormous. Then it vanished. The next morning, I woke to find symbols carved into my window frost. Perfect geometric patterns. Spirals, triangles intersecting at precise angles. I touched them, and they pulsed faintly before melting away. My phone buzzed. "A message with no sender. You remember? Good." I froze. Tried to reply, but it wouldn't send. The message vanished. I threw the phone across the room. I began recording myself every night, hoping to catch evidence. Something, anything, that would prove this was real. For 2 nights, nothing. On the third, the camera cut out at 2:43 a.m. And when it came back, I was standing in the middle of the room, eyes open, whispering in a voice that wasn't mine. When I slowed the footage, I could make out the words 3 days, 3 hours, 3 cycles remain. I didn't remember saying it. I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that chamber again. The others' faces flickered in my dreams. Mia, Luis, the woman praying. But now they were calling to me. "It's not over," Mia said, in the vision. "You brought something back." When I woke, the scar on my wrist glowed again. My heart raced. I could feel something inside me, a faint pulse, like an echo of their technology embedded beneath my skin. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, panicked, ready to cut it out, but before I could, the pulse stopped. And then a voice whispered directly in my head, "You are the bridge." I dropped the knife. I spent the next day researching missing time cases, abduction stories, alleged experiments. The internet was full of them, but none quite matched what I experienced. Most spoke of hours missing, maybe a day. None had the paradox of 3 days lived, 3 hours passed. Then I found a post on an obscure forum, dated 3 years before my abduction. The title stopped my heart. I lived 3 days in space, but only 3 hours passed on Earth. The post described everything: the light, the hum, the beings, even the artificial sunrise. The author's name, Mia Alvarez. My blood turned cold. I remembered her face, the teenage girl from the ship. The post ended abruptly. They said I'd be the bridge. If you're reading this, it's already begun. That night, the humming returned, louder than ever. My lights flickered, the air shimmered, and outside my house, the same blinding white glow filled the sky. I didn't run this time. I walked outside barefoot, the cold biting at my skin. "You came back," I whispered, and from above, a voice answered. Not through sound, but through every molecule around me. The experiment continues. The light swallowed everything. When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in my bedroom or on Earth. I stood in that same vast chamber. Only now it was empty. The stars outside seemed closer, brighter, and the silver spire loomed larger than ever. I felt calm. Terrified, yes, but calm. Like part of me belonged here now. Then I saw her, Mia. She was standing by the transparent wall, gazing at the stars. Her expression was serene, almost peaceful. "You're here too," I said softly. She turned slowly. "We never left." I stood there, frozen, watching Mia trace her fingers against the invisible wall that held the stars at bay. "We never left," she'd said, and the certainty in her voice carried the weight of a verdict. "What do you mean?" I asked. She didn't look at me. They layered us. 2 versions of reality folded together. When you think you're home, you're only walking through the echo. An echo. Her words vibrated through the chamber, and the lights overhead pulsed in rhythm, slow, deliberate, like a heartbeat. "The bridge has stabilized," the familiar voice said inside my skull. Observation complete. "Integration begins." "Integration?" I whispered. "Into what?" The floor rippled again, and images rose from it like steam. Earth, my house, the mechanic's shop, the roads I drove. All of it floated before me, transparent, trembling, as if waiting for permission to solidify. "Reality must reconcile the discrepancy," the voice continued. 3 cycles here, 3 hours there. The timelines must agree. I realized then that the ship wasn't just traveling through space. It was moving through time itself. The difference between 3 hours and 3 days wasn't a mistake, it was part of the experiment. "Why me?" I shouted. "Why any of us?" "Because you remember." The words slammed into me like thunder. The chamber dissolved. The next moment I was falling through darkness, through light, through memory itself. When I hit the ground, I was back on the road outside Denver. The dawn sky burned orange over the fields. My truck sat idling where I'd left it. For a while I just sat behind the wheel, shaking. Birds were singing again. The world was painfully, beautifully normal. When I got home, my phone buzzed. 37 missed calls from Jeff, my sister, my boss. I called Jeff first. "Where the hell have you been, man?" he shouted. "You missed 3 days of work." I was about to call the cops. 3 days. He remembered them. For him, time had passed normally. For me, it had been twice over, 3 days there, 3 days here, all stacked like reflections in water. I mumbled something about getting sick, hung up, and stumbled to the bathroom. That's when I saw it, the silver scar on my wrist, glowing again, brighter this time. And inside the reflection of the mirror, behind my own image, I saw them. Not clearly, just faint silhouettes, tall and still. Watching. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I slipped back into that other place. Not fully awake, not fully dreaming. The ship would appear around me, half-formed, humming softly, the walls breathing with my heartbeat. One night, I woke standing in the backyard, barefoot, staring straight up. The stars shifted again. Only this time, I could see their movement, could track the subtle spin of galaxies that no human should perceive. And then I heard her voice. Mia's. They're syncing the timelines. Don't fight it. I turned, expecting to see her, but only the wind moved the grass. The next morning, I tried to record a voice message for myself. The words kept distorting on playback, bending into a strange harmonic tone. When I slowed it down, I could make out a layered whisper. Integration 72% complete. My pulse thundered. What did that mean? Integration of what? My memories. My body, the planet. I drove to the mountains that afternoon, hoping distance would clear my head. The higher I climbed, the quieter the world became. Snow still clung to the ridges, and the thin air tasted metallic, familiar. At the overlook, I killed the engine and stepped into the silence. For the first time in weeks, I felt peace. Then the sky flickered, a ripple spread across it like a stone hitting water. For a heartbeat, the entire world seemed transparent. The trees, the snow, even the mountains, faintly overlapping with another version of themselves. In that translucent double world, I saw the silver spire again. Piercing through both realities, I dropped to my knees, gasping. Do not fear, the voice said. The merge is natural, I screamed into the empty air. Stop this! I didn't ask for any of it. Silence. Then a whisper, almost tender. You asked before you were born. That night, I found myself writing compulsively. Equations I didn't understand. Star charts that mapped constellations no astronomer had ever named. When I looked up the coordinates, they pointed to regions of space beyond any telescope's reach. I realized my thoughts were no longer mine alone. I could feel them, an endless presence in the back of my mind, vast and patient, like an ocean humming beneath the surface of my consciousness. I wasn't just remembering them, I was connected. And then, for the first time, I heard not one voice, but thousands. Whispers overlapping, harmonizing, forming sentences that existed beyond grammar. The species aligns. The bridge endures. Observation complete. I dropped the pen. The silver scar pulsed once more and went dark. Days passed. The lights in the sky returned twice more, but they didn't take me again. Maybe they didn't need to, but the world had changed. People started reporting strange phenomena. Sky glows over deserts, power outages followed by geometric frost patterns on windows. Animals migrating in perfect spirals visible from satellites. Wasn't just me anymore. One evening, the news ran a story about a solar anomaly. 3 distinct pulses of light recorded simultaneously across every hemisphere. Scientists called it a magnetospheric glitch, but I knew better. 3 pulses, 3 cycles, the completion of their experiment. I went back to the forum where I'd found Mia's post. It was gone, deleted, the entire site offline. But my inbox held a new message. No sender, no subject. Just a single line the bridge holds. Thank you. Attached was a photo. The spire, now standing faintly on Earth's horizon at sunset, like a mirage made of silver light. I stared at it for hours, trembling, until dawn seeped through my window. When I finally looked away, I realized the glow wasn't only in the photo. It was reflecting on the clouds outside my own house. The world hasn't ended, not yet. But sometimes, when the night is clear, the stars pulse in that rhythm again. 3 beats, a pause, 3 beats, a pause, and I feel the hum in my bones. I don't think they ever meant to harm us. They were measuring something, consciousness maybe, or the fabric that holds time together. And somehow, by living those 3 impossible days, I became part of it. Every now and then, I catch my reflection blinking a split second out of sync, as if another version of me is still up there. Watching back, if that's true, I hope he's at peace, because down here I'm not sure I ever will be again.
It's been 6 months since the light last touched the sky. 6 months since the hum quieted, since I stopped waking in that half-formed chamber between realities. And yet, every morning I still wake before dawn, drawn to the same window, the one that looks east across the fields where it all began. I tell myself I'm only checking the weather, but deep down, I'm waiting. Because even though the nights are darker now, I can still feel them. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars we can see, something is still watching through me. I tried to rebuild my life, went back to the garage, fixed engines, changed oil, pretended I could forget. For a while it worked. Customers came and went, radio chatter filled the silence, and the smell of burnt rubber replaced the metallic scent that haunted me. But the illusion cracked one afternoon when a little boy, barely 8, walked in with his father to pick up their car. He froze mid-stride, staring straight at me. "Your eyes are singing," he said. His father laughed it off, embarrassed, but the boy kept staring. And in that instant, I heard it too, a faint harmonic tone rising from somewhere deep inside me, resonating like a tuning fork struck by the universe itself. After they left, I shut down the shop early. That night, I dreamed of Mia again. We were standing on the deck of the ship, looking down at Earth. The silver spire had grown taller, stretching all the way through the atmosphere like a thread connecting heaven and ground. "It's done," she said. "They won't come back, not like before." "What happens to us?" I asked. "You'll fade into both worlds, slowly." "Fade?" She smiled, sadly. "Bridges aren't meant to stay." When I woke, I expected her words to vanish with the dream, but then I looked at the clock. 2:43 a.m., the same minute it had all begun. The digits flickered once, twice, then froze, 2:43 forever. Outside, the world was perfectly still again. No wind, no insects, not even the hum of the refrigerator. And in that silence, I heard the voice. Final alignment achieved. My heartbeat stuttered, the air shimmered, bending like heat haze, and for the briefest second, I saw 2 versions of my house, overlapping perfectly, but one slightly out of phase. Then the voice spoke again, softer, almost human. "You are the witness now." I don't remember lying down, but suddenly I was sitting at my kitchen table, pen in hand, pages of this story before me. My handwriting, yet not quite mine. Angles too precise, loops too deliberate. The silver scar on my wrist pulsed once more, then faded completely, leaving only skin. And that's when the memories returned in full. Everything I had forgotten from those 3 missing days. Not experiments, not torture, construction. They weren't just observing me, they were building through me, using consciousness as scaffolding to link 2 layers of time. 3 days there, 3 hours here. The difference was the tension, the stretch that held both worlds apart. And the bridge? It wasn't metal or light. It was memory. The human mind remembering something it was never supposed to remember. Every recollection of that ship, every story like mine, they're the rivets holding the 2 realities together. When the last witness forgets, the bridge collapses. But as long as I tell the story, the connection endures. So I write. Every night at the same hour, under the same stars, my pen moving as if guided by another hand. Sometimes the words come in English, sometimes in that impossible geometry of symbols they taught me. Each time I finish a page, the air feels lighter, as if the world exhales. Maybe that's what they wanted all along. Not to invade, not to conquer, but to share a memory that no single being could hold alone. We're their archive now, living data. I've stopped checking the clock. It always drifts back to 2:43 a.m. anyway. But I've started noticing something else. People around me pausing mid-conversation, staring into space like they've lost their train of thought. Sometimes, if the light hits their eyes just right, I see the same shimmer I once saw in mine. Maybe they touched more than one of us. Maybe the bridge is already expanding. I used to be afraid of that. Now I'm not so sure. Because every time I look at the stars, they no longer feel distant. They feel familiar, like home. And sometimes, just before sleep, I hear Mia's voice again, faint but warm. 3 hours, 3 days, it was never about time. It was about connection. Then the tone hums through the walls, soft and even, the same resonance that filled the ship. I close my eyes, and for an instant, I'm there again, weightless, watching galaxies spin like fireflies around the silver spire. I smile, whispering to the darkness, I remember. And somewhere far beyond Earth, in that quiet ocean of stars, something answers back. Good, the bridge holds.